The noise pollution, those are completely corrupt data centers, and you guys are nothing like that?
No, I can't speak for the videos that you've seen,
And then,
but I would encourage you.
Question is that sound 24 hours a day. It's not just during business hours. Isn't it 24 hours a day?
The answer is yes. If you want to answer no, but I want to provide a little more information if you want to listen. So, what is it?
What you've done already?
No,
I'm not letting us ask questions.
no, go ahead and ask a question if there's more. Like, I want to explain why that
I have a ton of questions. Another question is, well, you can laugh at me.
No,
but this is not a funny situation. You're invading our country life here in Freestone County is what you're doing. So we have questions. That's what we have.
We've done some research, y'all. We've been worried about this for a long time. And we went through their facilities. So we tried to do our homework. We all had various decibel meters. I got educated on what a decibel was. We toured 3,500,000 square foot village in downtown Allen, Texas, with a housing addition farm right across the street. I walked right up to the units, which will be making the noise. Right beside it, while they were running, it was 78 decibels. You walk 50 foot, 100 foot, it drops in the 50s. Outside, it's in the 40s, in the parking lot of their property. We went across the street to the housing addition. There was people walking dogs, jogging. We stopped them and said, hey, how big a problem is this building across this data center? They said, is that what that is? We didn't know what that was. And the street was loud. It was in the 40s. And it was mainly there's a street in between, not real busy. We did some checking on this, y'all. I'm just saying we did our homework.
So then my next question is, why wasn't this made a public debate before Brown was broken? That's what I want to know. Why is it now?
Anybody that don't want to make it matter, keep up with what's going on with your law. We all have jobs. I understand, sir, but we have a website, our news is posted on the website, posted on the courthouse. We have not had one single court that we did not give 3 or 4 business days of posting before we have.
You got my out.
Well, we've got hand raised.
I have a question. My question is more for our county commissioners, and I'd like to know if we have any kind of industrial development review policy in this county. I appreciate what Katie said. I understand that there are probably good actors and bad actors in the data center business, but what kind of process does our county have for a policy to review large industrial scale projects like this?
At the time, we don't have a policy like
Can
that.
I speak to that? Would I be allowed to?
Yes.
Okay, there's more questions again. Okay. I just brought to share with y'all, I'm putting my glasses on because I really can't see about them. I brought to share with y'all it's the Hill County Major Industrial Development Review Policy. My name is Linda Miller, sorry. And I'll be out of town on the 17th, so I wanted to take the time to come here now. But the purpose of the policy is to establish a consistent process for the review of large-scale industrial developments that may have significant impacts on county infrastructure, transportation systems, water resources, emergency services, public safety, drainage systems, and other county interests. I would respectfully ask the commissioners of Freestone County to review and to adopt a similar policy for our county. Policy for Freestone County, I think, should require complete transparency, so I do appreciate what y'all have said today from Cyrus Smith, of all legal entities that are responsible for ownership and operation of all such industrial developments, and set protections for neighboring and potentially affected property owners in the area. A particular concern is the protection of our county's aquifers, grid usage, and noise abatement. And just on a personal level, I would like the commissioners to consider the wishes of your neighbors like myself. I reside on my family's farm that was purchased by George Washington Green in 1883. When I was a little girl, I could lie in my bed at night and I could hear the coyotes howl in the back pasture. It was so quiet and it was so dark. I have loved this piece of property my entire life. And even though my parents chose to raise me in Dallas, I always made it clear that someday I wanted to live here in the home that my great-grandparents built. There are now 2 natural gas compression plants. One is 1.5 miles away, the other is about 3/4 of a mile from my front door. The larger of the 2 is never quiet. It is never silent at my place. The low-level din travels up the upper branch of the Keachai Creek into my home, and I can barely hear the coyotes. So I was not, and I am not, protected from this constant noise. There has never been any noise abatement, and this is nothing compared to the potential that can come from data centers. So I'm just asking that, we consider the fact that we're making really long-term decisions here. The land provides families with generational stability. It may not provide extreme wealth, but the value of generational stability cannot be overstated. Do not trade a lump sum payment for the stability of your grandchildren and their children. And if you want a county that your children want to come home to, don't pay over it. This is not something we can undo. So please establish protections for our health, for our land, for today, and for those who want to live and farm here after us. I ask why the solar farms are going up on grazing property when they could just as easily be in urban areas over parking lots where they could shape cars. We are talking about land that cannot be reclaimed. So I am asking that we have policies in place that will protect our land and protect our citizens, and then if we have people who are honorable and who are good actors who want to be part of our community and not spoil what we appreciate about living in the country, that's great. But we need to have some way to hold them accountable, and there needs to be ways to measure that. So I'm just going to leave this with you guys. This is online. This is the Hill County policy. Even though Hill County's moratorium has been overturned because the companies that were building the data center took them to court, in federal court, they tried to sue them, so all the county commissioners backed off. They still have these policies in place. So anybody who comes into that county, if you're a great company, you shouldn't have any problems with impact studies, water usage studies, noise abatement studies, any of it. So I just ask that this is something that our commissioners consider before we move forward with any more data centers.
I would like to respond, ma'am, and I appreciate what you said, but you got that pointed off. We look at that, we can put that in place, I'm definitely not against putting that in place. But what we would be putting in place are boxes that we have already checked off with this stuff.
No, I understand
So we were
that.
never,
But I think it's also responsible to realize that right now there's a huge push to build these things. Data centers have been around. This is nothing new. This extreme push to expand them is. And it's quite obvious that there is an intention to get these things built before the regulations can catch up. Where state governments, county governments can catch up. If we can slow it down, that gives the Texas legislature a chance to really get a handle on this and what kind of impact it's going to have over our health. That's all.
It's kind of a long question, but this was just published this morning by Michael Solar, and it says according to Texas grid operators, several large Texas data centers and crypto facilities have failed key reliability tests ahead of the summer peak. It says in a power grid, supply must demand electricity to prevent overcapacity or over voltage. However, data centers are generally designed to disconnect from grids during voltage disturbances, unlike many traditional energy consumers. This prevents damage to the data center equipment that can lead to an oversupply of power for other consumers, worsening the effects of the voltage disturbance. During a recent test of routine voltage disturbance resistance, the ERC of Texas reported 4 clusters of large electricity consumers, including data centers, abruptly disconnected from the grid. According to ERCOT, each of these clusters could trigger more than 5,000 megawatts of demand, triggering roughly the load of a large city. Since 2013, disconnected from power during voltage disturbances. How is crypto one or
Our company's name is Cyrus One.
Cyrus One?
Yeah.
How is Cyrus One different from this? Yes.
Hopefully everyone here starts with the feedback that it's an excellent question, and I think that the premise of it, there's a different, the reason we're here is we do want to be transparent. I mean, I know that there's a lot of negative data center sentiment, and I personally understand it, because there's different quality of data center construction, and the folks that you cited are the crypto miners who are trying to build the phrase we use is cheap and cheerful, folks that basically are trying to just make talk about a quick data center, not think about the sound attenuation that comes at a cost, and think about all the sustainability elements that we do. I do share your views similar about water usage. That's why we have a chilled water system. So all of this stuff is much more expensive, but it's the right thing to do. So I don't want to give a 15-minute answer for a question, but I'm more than happy to sit down with you to talk about some of the engineering elements. But what I encourage you to do is the simple piece of what we're trying to do here is to try to be a little bit transparent and try to help educate us. So, okay, well, why is it 20% of sound? It's because the fans are going, the chillers are going, but if you're 100 feet away from the chillers, you don't hear them. But it is true that there are a lot of different similar to answer your question specifically on the folks that simply switch the lights off. Those are people who are, I don't want to disparage anyone, but there are people who are not worried about the downstream impact of their actions where we are. So we can talk to you about our battery storage system, all the ways that we can make sure that we aren't causing a lot of downstream impact. Because frankly, it's also at some level, because if we cause downstream impact to grid stability, then frankly, we're not going to get any power as an industry. So it's just, it's not always the right thing to do, it's also good business. But it's more than happy to get into the details of how that mechanically works. But there is a difference between crypto miners and build kind of cheap and cheerful versus what the investments we make.
My question, is there gonna be long-term verification for that water usage, and how often does that have to be changed out?
Yes.
I was gonna say that, so our water wells are metered, like approved by TCQ. We voluntarily meter all of our water wells, so they can be checked, and we typically, we will report those numbers to the county, and then, we have to have those numbers available to decide on selection. So all of our water wells are voluntarily metered, and that information is held.
What is the capacity of what will it produce?
I didn't keep by the, I don't remember the capacity of the water well, but I know that.
You know the basic size, right?
I don't,
I was talking about the president of the, East Texas Water Association, and those two permits, 100 gallons. There are existing wells on the property. They're going to apply for the permits and bring it to utilize those to existing wells.
And just for the other members of the commission, I mean, I totally believe in their transparency, but I'm also just something to consider. That Cyrus One has been bought out by KRR. It was kind of the king of the leveraged buyout. I mean, this is what they became known for doing. So that's my other concern long term. What do we need to think about? What happens if the AI bubble becomes similar to the .com bubble of the early 1990s? I mean, these are just, I just want to make sure this is something that we've all thought about and that everybody's being transparent about, because just, you were owned by somebody else. And what's the good neighbor policy or the same standard?
Yeah, so just before we were taken private by KKR BlackRock, we had our sustainability policies. Folks like myself, my wonderful colleagues here, we choose to work here not based on the fact that it's by X or used to be public, will be public again. You have that long-term value, so it's not going to get back on people who actually do have values or want to work in that place. So the ownership aside, that's one thing. The other thing on the water side, it used to be the way that we used to cool these data centers is it was evaporative cooling. So you used to take water and evaporate it into the air. So and that's the water that we use. The reason we all pivoted, the better providers that pivoted to the cold water system is because yes, individually it's more expensive, but fundamentally it doesn't use the tremendous amount of water. And it's the right thing to do. So I'm not pretending that there are more data centers that consume a huge amount of power.
these two.
Okay, I've been
for a long time.
Okay, so I'd like to know, I have not seen a publicly available noise report study. Maybe it is, but I haven't seen it. What you haven't discussed was the low-level frequency noise that the animals hear, which can travel up to a mile. It is not just where the data center is. So tell me what your noise model is showing the impact will be and how you plan to mitigate that. Also, you have blowdown time whenever you clean out your systems. Where is that work going to go? I'm not worried and concerned at all because I know I know you're trucking the water in. I know the closed loop system very well. What are you going to do with the water afterwards? My third question is, the land heats up. There's no way to avoid the ground temperature rising within, a half a mile radius of the data centers, particularly when you get to 6, which is what you're eventually going to have. Tell me how you plan to mitigate those things.
All really good questions.
And the heat into the atmosphere, besides you having your cooling, how much more heat is being dissipated into the atmosphere, and is it going to affect our rain pattern?
So I think there's two sides of the same coin, which is about what we do with heat, right? And so we have systems in place to be able to utilize that heat, because that heat is energy, and so we don't want to waste energy for sustainability goals, for the fact that we want to use less electricity generally. So we don't want to heat servers and then have the servers, just like keep ambient air. So that's the reason we use the cool water system. Closed loop system means all the water has a specific heat that absorbs heat better than air underground. And so that's why we're using liquid to be the medium by which that excess heat is absorbed. And it takes a long time for that heat to dissipate, which is why we run through the cool system. So similar to the crypto miners have the ability to cheap and cheerful, the whole premise of building these closed loop systems is that you have a higher heat efficiency or higher energy efficiency. So we won't have that same impact. Other people may, ours will. You have 3 questions. One was about sound for animals.
Low frequency.
So low frequency sound. The third was heating the ground. That's all I'm concerned for our design. There's a second question.
The blowdown, when you
The blowdown, I can't answer that.
So a couple of things, so we appreciate the county commissioners inviting us here. Typically, we would have our EHS representative with us that can talk on some of the environmental studies. I will say that we are going to have a website, and the website will have, like, the noise modeling will be on there, so you'll be able to go and see what we actually model for noise. We will be addressing the frequency, the low frequency as well. I can't speak on it because I'm not an environmental engineer, and I don't know enough about it to speak on it. But I do know that
I am, that's fine.
yeah, but I think Kyle would probably love to stop and have coffee with you, because he's really versed in it, and it's something that we're going to ask more often. So we want to make sure that those topics are on the website so we can.
Will we be here next week?
I don't know that we have presentation available here on the 17th, but I'm sure that he or Mark Child or
Don't tell me about transparency.
talked about it.
I'm sorry?
Except the environmental. I'll tell you about transparency.
We absolutely are, and we're happy to post that again on our website. I also have business cards, and I'm happy to schedule one off so somebody wants to meet with us and talk about specifics. I just can't answer the question about the low frequency. I personally can't.
How often are those devices calibrated so that we know that the information that will be on the website is accurate and true?
So, we post the website is actually refreshed. So,
How often are they calibrated so that you know that they're accurate?
which means it sounds, we do have noise modeling on the front end of the project, and then we're meeting that standard.
So every time, right before doing it, the multi-testing, so you kind of calibrate, just make sure that the sound is actually the sound.
Internally or a third party?
Yes.
Third party.
Who is the third party?
Trinity Consultant.
Trinity Consultant is our third party? Who hires the third party?
Who hires the people?
Yeah, you guys.
Do that.
Of course, because that would be easy to give you whatever kind of a report back that fits your needs for it. So I do have a couple questions. At the beginning, you said that you guys would be bringing in the water, so we're not taking any local water resources, and then you're going to be drilling wells, all that good stuff. where's the water coming from the very get-go to bring it in? Where are you getting that from?
So we have to purchase water rights from operators that have water rights available. So we have to go out and have a team that goes out and investigates where there's water available for us to purchase. It'll be somewhere from the state of Texas likely. And we purchase those water rights, we truck that water in to fill the whole closed system and then the fire suppression.
So you didn't answer the question, where?
Somewhere in Texas is where.
Yeah, somewhere in
Texas residents are still going to be affected by it. It's just not gonna be our county directly that's gonna be affected right off the, yeah, it's gonna be somebody else's.
Well,
Yeah.
someone else's
children. Yeah.
Purchase the water rights, it has to be somewhere with a surplus of water. They sell it to us because they have surplus of water.
How do you know that there's a surplus of water though? I mean, nobody can predict the future, so how do we know that we're not as a society, as human beings, going to need that water in the future, but instead we're putting it into a data center that's not needed for our society, it's not needed for human beings, it's only needed to make people's pockets richer, to be honest, let's get to the bottom line of it here. Also, why was the first part of this already approved, but now we're coming in to say that we can stop the second phase of this? Like, from our commissioner standpoint, what were your guys' thoughts on this, and how do you guys see the benefits of this coming to our community? Because that's what this community truly doesn't understand is, how is this going to bring any benefits to our community?
Okay, so let me answer her question before we take any more. This is start making people walk up and laugh because everybody's putting their hands up.
Thank you.
So what you're saying is if it's 40,000 gallons to fill one of these closed loop systems, that's the same as a large swimming pool. So I have a right to go put a pool in my backyard that's only a few lift off, and I can get that 40,000 gallons. You're saying it's wrong.
You're telling me that a data center is taking 40,000 gallons of water, that's the same amount as a home pool? These data centers are using that less amount of water? That doesn't make sense. That's not matching up with what you guys are originally
It's
saying.
not wrong,
we got.
You're right. And 40%
Yeah.
45 let's look at it. It seems like a low number, it feels like maybe we're saying that we're trying to be transparent, we're trying to, like, I would encourage you to, if you want to see the data set, you can maybe put videos online, there's some asking some mechanism for us to give you the confidence that we're not just, making these numbers up, but I assure you, the technology is a little more explained, and I don't want to bore everyone for, 15 minute answer, but the true answer is, with these closed loop systems, it is only, it's not even consuming, the amount of water that's circulating within that system is that amount of water, it's shockingly low.
But you have to refill it. You have to refill it.
It doesn't evaporate, so it's closed pipes.
But there's still
Some
some
loss,
loss,
there's
there's
still
still
some
some loss.
Yeah.
It might be small, but there is still some loss.
It's measured like 1% for every.
That doesn't matter, that contradicts what you just said though. That you said it stays, but there is still some loss.
And
So
then it
which
goes
one is
in
it?
our
A
office.
lot of what you guys have stated from the beginning is contradicting every time that you're answering a question from one of us. So I am not confident in your company, I'm not confident in what you guys are telling us by any means. So I'm asking our board, our commissioners, our city officials, how are you guys confident in this? Where are you guys seeing the benefits from this, and how is this truly going to benefit our community? Because we don't see it, other than it's going to your guys' pockets.
Exactly.
You never answered atmospheric heat release in bank homes to rainfall. Has studies been done with that? How much more heat is being dissipated into the house?
So I wanted to speak here because I don't think you're right, but I didn't say that I was saying that there's minimum, I said there's not, but it's just.
But your credibility comes into question now because you said one thing whenever there is some loss. So we should question everything else that is said.
But so
That's
the
my
question
point.
will not go back to survey, I don't know the exact answer to that, but I believe it's minutes, but I don't want to speak here by the So we'll take that note to all for sure.
Let them build it, and then let's see what they.
Yeah, can y'all answer her question about the confidence, really confident room, because I didn't hear that answer.
I mean, I would just like to know the public, is there a perfect business, a perfect tax base that can come with this county? Well, what do y'all think is in a data center that's not already in the existing power plant? Not really, but
The power plant hasn't been working.
that's what.
The power plant's been off since I've been here. I'm not a long-time resident. I've been here since 2018 when I lived at Richmond Chambers. That power plant's been off ever since I've been
Is
here.
it different?
And then it got turned on as soon as y'all started clearing trees because that's going to supply this power plant. And I can hear that. I can hear the power plant right now because you're trying to test it, you're trying to see if it's working. And I can hear it, and I live on Richmond Chambers. So I know I'm going to be able to hear the data center. And I know it's a sound thing and everything like that, but my place is, there's no confidence from y'all saying that it's not going to hurt the environment. It's already hurting the environment. It's already, if you go down 488, which I go down all the time, I'm missing the trees because you couldn't see the power plant, now you can. So I'm missing that. I don't see how many deers I've seen, going up and down and getting killed. And then I feel for the poor cows that are right across from that. And I understand that makes this whole as well because we can't have cows that are beside this power plant. It's going to be a little desolate. So we're losing all of our community, the farm, everything like that. And the only thing that's going to come up is going to be money into the pockets. But we're not going to see that because if y'all getting money now, I'm not seeing a new Fairfield building, Fairfield High School going. I don't see any new construction for that. I don't see new construction for any other roads. I only see trucks going up and down with all kinds of dirt and everything like that. And I understand it's the way of the future and it's all because for AI, but you're not helping anybody. And then if y'all were transparent, you would have more higher ups, not just yes men. I know y'all been working for as long as you have. I came from a big company too. What y'all telling me is nothing. I haven't heard from my own company. But if you want to be transparent, you should have had an engineer guy here. And then we're told on the 17th, you don't know who's going to be here, that y'all don't even have a presentation for that. Y'all were just called on the last minute because we made such a big old fuss from the last thing. So now you got these people here just trying to placate us, but you don't have anybody with real answers. So my thing is, I want to hear y'all confident, which we haven't heard yet, and I want to hear more transparency, which we haven't heard yet. So, and if you're not going to have any of y'all that know some legit answers on the 17th about being bought out, about what's actually going to happen with the low frequency, who pays for the third party reports, have reports, you didn't even give us any reports. You gave us a PowerPoint. You didn't give us any reports of any kind of studies that you've done at all. So, to me, it's still not transparency.
Okay, now before I take any more questions, I want to correct you on something. The power plant hadn't been shut down for months and just started back up.
Well, it hadn't been, no sir, it has not been on. It has not been working since I have been here since 2018.
There's two power plants out there. One was just complete, so they've been building a second, the Pinot power plant. The whole time the Pinot power plant was operating, the whole power plant was.
Not, okay, then not at full capacity, no, I'll give you that. But it has not been a power plant until just now.
I personally want to say that, please do answer that you get them sound and light. And I understand you did some well and what were the saying that we had used in the power plant, the big round power plant, savings. We hired a lot of employees from the local area, so we didn't have to be that. Could you expand a little bit more on how you could possibly train locals that want to get involved in data and benefits that would be so our kids don't have to go somewhere else. Right now, the oil and gas industry is about the only thing around for long-term employment. I would like to know how you're going to train, encourage these students that are on schools to become involved in your operation.
Thanks for that question. So there's two different answers. I'll try to speak a little louder, hopefully you can hear me. So the question, if anyone can not hear, is how are we training the folks that are going to be working in the data center? And I want to provide a more full answer than just the folks who are going to be working in the data center. It's also in the building of the data center. So what we've done is we want to create apprenticeship programs for people to be lot of different unique trades that in the process of building a data center. Because they're engineering, more sophisticated buildings. You need plumbing. You need engineers that can understand plumbing, HVAC, electrical engineers, structural engineers. So in order to be able to work through the actual construction of data center, we do apprenticeship programs that way we know that these are high quality built facilities. So that's on the construction side. And on the operations side, we do these job fairs. And you can go to other counties where we've already done that. We'll do the same exact thing here. What we'll do is we'll allow our partners that would be in the facility to come and basically our whole objective is because these are 24/7 facilities, we need people in the community, local, right? We can't have someone driving 2 hours in to service these facilities. So we really need that there's a really robust group of folks that get in those facilities, and we want to make sure those folks are trained. So that's why we do those job fairs.
So if we work with the local school, I'm sorry, I'm kind of bad. I hear you, but we work with the local schools to put some sort of training in place to pre-train the computers, data, stuff, so they move on into your training.
Service people, but deployed through the facility. Yeah, I'll take that and talk a little bit more about the training. I got to work with Texas State Technical College last year. We started in 23, finished in 24, creating a program we're calling the My Data Center Pathway Program in BI, Mechanical Electrical Information Technology. And Cyrus One is leveraging that to put students through. It's a 235-hour course load, so it's accessible to anyone. It's only $5,000, and it gives participants the training that they need to work inside the data center or in the support functions around it. So again, 24/7 operation, mission critical facility. So it's not just the operators inside the data center, but it's the cooling, the electrical, plumbing, all that wraps around the data center, plus the security around the data center. And then you start to go out beyond the secure perimeter, and you're looking at all kinds of city services that are required, anything from catering to pest control to housekeeping. So it starts to have a ripple effect in the community. Of course, there's the hotels, restaurants, the gas stations, the retailers. So they say, like the most conservative estimates say for every one job inside the data center, there are typically at least 4 created in the community. So the jobs are far beyond someone sitting there making sure that the operations are running.
Do you go into the school and get them started, not just technical colleges?
Yeah, so I've actually been talking to
But encourage them, so they will be
I've been talking
interested in doing this.
to your the Fairfield superintendent about wanting, I met him at the Calpine ribbon cutting ceremony a month or so ago, and he said, how could Fairfield ISD students get involved here? And I said, does your CTE program have a mechanical and industrial systems maintenance? He said, no, so we've gifted $50,000 to Fairfield High School as part of, like, when they build a new facility and that's just a down payment. I know it's going to take more than that to get all of the equipment and to get the instructors, but that CTE track alone would equip someone to go into that industrial maintenance, into those industrial maintenance roles, and it might not be for Cyrus One, it might be for the equipment providers that we lean on.
So you said when you first started your presentation that there's only going to be 40 employees.
So 40 employees for the data center operations. What I just described is kind of a ripple effect.
Right.
So these are 40 people working around the clock.
But that's a potential
To
for
operate the data center.
Potential.
When you said 40 around the clock, is that 40 people or is that 43
It's 40
stations?
Yeah.
We're pretty fortunate.
So it doesn't create a huge, burden on schools and city services, but there is a ripple effect that I think is worth noting.
And that's even if it's coming from my second they're hiring, they're outsourcing it. It's gonna be outsourced. The high school kids are coming in to do those jobs. I mean, we didn't
We
make
hire
sure
from
and
local
think that we
community.
wanted to be that way, absolutely. absolutely, but the reality is, if there's only gonna be 40 jobs there, those jobs are gonna be filled very quickly, and there's not gonna be the opportunity to get those next generations, or our kids, his kids won't be able to have those jobs, you know, like.
I disagree respectfully. This industry is growing by leaps and bounds, and we are eager to have as many local community members involved as we can. That's why we created the scholarship for Christian program.
$40 per building.
For building, that's right.
Okay, can we back up just a little bit?
Sure.
I don't know your name, because you're not my commissioner. I know Andy, he's my. Yes, you were one that, to do your due diligence, when did y'all go to Allen?
Oh. I don't remember when we did.
Okay, I've had two people that attended with you that told me y'all went, papers were signed in December, y'all went February, March. That's after the fact.
We get your after that, on the noise system.
So can we go back to answering my question? How do you guys find, where's the benefit you guys are seeing? Because we truly don't see that. What made you guys sign up first place?
We have to look at what we experienced too. We're gonna have to think our balance. Because if we just wanna call GSU back up out of bankruptcy and get them back in here and streamline 20,000 acres again, make that big truck, blah, and take a ton of groundwater because they're going to invest and just on water all of the top. It's short of the top 300 water.
That's not fair, Judge.
I don't know what's in the center is not already in the existing power plant.
We don't need to take away our pastures and our farmland just to satisfy some other need. Our county is doing just fine. We don't need to have more and more and more money. I like to go outside and make kind of.
Yes.
Yes. If I want to go back up to Dallas to live and hear the noise, I go there. Go to Dallas and it's back up to Dallas. Don't be awesome that. You must be wrong.
Just do it.
That wasn't fair.
I'll make that decision.
Because my question that I'd like to ask the five of you is, what is the accountability on these three people here that make some professions and some promises to us today? What is the accountability? What team do you have that you don't follow through for 20 jobs that come from people that live here, not come from somewhere else, buy a house? Where does that accountability come from that? Where's the accountability with, I'll show you in person what a heat factor is that changes. I listed weather that time out of Dallas Fort Worth, and Dallas Fort Worth in the summertime will be 5 degrees hotter at that time than down here where I'm sitting in the house. So that is going to change that area on us. It's going to change it. I have a friend that lives on the other side of 84, going out their direction. She's getting completely surrounded by a solar farm. All the wildlife is moving. Now, because everything's being thrown out. Traffic is everywhere. Trucks are everywhere. QTEC, I think it was something that's right. She tried to call them because of the things that the guys are doing, watering, cleaning the road, they're driving over neighbors' animals. They told her, not our problem, deal with it. They just told her that they're the damn job. They don't care, they're not going to come down and investigate. Everything that's happening to us around here is changing our world way of life, and I don't like that. And the other thing that bothers me is Congress is currently drawing new legislation right now to hurry and take away states' rights. That's what they're pushing through right now. So why, if these data centers are so great, if they are, why are they pushing to stop states from being able to have PG for 3 more years? Yeah. Why is Governor Abbott, I didn't hear this is a lesson, but I read it, he just came out with it within the hour. But he has signed some legislation today to hold these people accountable. And I'm not against this strategy. But he is. But what he did not do is he did not give any accountability teeth back to the counties. And we need that. We need that. We need to hold them. We need to stop this legislation. They're calling it the Great American Artificial Intelligence Act. Is what they're calling it. It's written by Congressman in California and Congresswoman in Massachusetts. They've tried it 2 other times already. We defeated them twice in trying to take away states' rights. But now it's coming back again, but they're hiding it in this bill, 269-page bill. They're hiding it, they're trying to take it away. Why is it that Greg Sachs and Sachs Capital Group, Mark and Tracy with Capital Venture, and Stan Altman with Open AI, and Dario and Anthropic, and Innocent Status of Google, why are they getting millions and millions and millions of dollars to these congressmen and senators to fight and take away our state's rights? So that we can't have this, where we have to stand here today, way after the fact of them coming and invading us. And I'm not saying this disrespectfully. I appreciate your take, but I don't like that this started after everything got done. I don't like that. And I want, so answer my question, sir, this one. Answer my question. What teeth did you guys put into your agreements with them? There's in writing that we can hold them accountable. What is there?
It's the noise. At 55 decibels, that is the problem.
That's the teeth. What penalties will they have?
They lose, we're missing on something. They lose their any violation of the contract.
But they don't have any.
Then they lose that.
We need to get back and show those some numbers up there on what they're like. That's just for the facility. I want to know how it's going to benefit Freestone County. Okay. Once y'all's tenants go in there, that's where the valuation comes
Give him the mic.
Huh?
We can't hear you. Give you the mic.
That's where the valuation comes in. Is y'all correct me? About $2 billion per building. That's $8 billion worth of taxable valuation. Our county's at 3.8 right now. Okay, that's a major impact on everybody here. And if some of y'all wasn't stuck around for our meeting last week, we've got an issue in this county. We budgeted $500,000 for prisoners outside because of overcrowding. We've already surpassed that. We're set to spend over $1 million this year. We have some contingency, but we're strapped. We're fixing to have to build a jail. It probably should have been done before. We're addressing it. This is going to help relieve the burden of the taxpayers.
It's going to put a harder burden on everyone else.
Let me speak.
You are not going to be.
Sit down.
That's
You already spoke. You signed up.
Hey, look, we come in here for question and answers. We let you ask questions. We let you talk.
I'm trying to tell you where we're at.
He's the one getting upset. It's all
We're trying to talk.
Just say it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Just say it. It's all about the money. It's not about anything environmental or anything else for us. It's about the money.
So if you do realize that we don't have to even consider any type of abatement, and it does not stop what these people want to do.
Do they even have an abatement, Judge?
Seller and a willing buyer, and that buyer wants to put in a business on that property. All they have, the regulations that they have to follow are DCEQ and EPA, that's their state federal road regulations that they have to follow. There are no laws in place that allow us to stop dual moratorium breeding it. Yes, we can set up these guidelines within our county, but then you have to ask yourself how enforceable are they? A lot of people call it, why don't y'all create an ordinance? The city can create an ordinance, the So again, when we're looking at something, I mean, it's just common sense. Maybe my head is not as full of everything that y'all have been reading on social media. But when I look at these projects, I have to say, what is different about this project than one that's been here for the last 20, 30 years? There is a power plant out there that does use evaporated cooling. They do have cooling tires. They do pump billions of gallons of water from Richland Chambers Lake to that plant to fuel the turbines to make electricity, which goes into the grid, which we all get to enjoy.
Richland Chambers gets pumped up for
There's
work.
nothing to start about coming in and setting up this data center. There's nothing in that data center that's not already in slant right beside. You have to wear earplugs when you go into a plant environment. You don't have to wear earplugs in a data center environment. But I've been in both. So when you're asking me what, I'm just looking at it from a common sense standpoint. We're not reinventing the wheel here. The people are not, they're not using billions of gallons of water out of our aquifer a day. 40,000 gallons of water per cooling, per closed loop system. We've got that in writing, that's what we're holding us to. But again, if we don't do any type of labor, we don't have a seat at the table. They never have to stop in this courthouse. They never have to come say hi to us. They never have to do anything. They can act like Commissioner's Court is not even here. By giving them an abatement, we can create a contract that allows us to put stuff in there. When that contract was created, we did put in the noise, the water usage, and the number of jobs at 40, minimum of 40 jobs per building. And that's what the minimum of $2.2 million per year was for jobs. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to keep mine relatively simple. Are there other sites you were working on within the surrounding area, Limestone, Leon, Freestone counties?
We have, right now, we have active projects in Freestone, Boston County, Medina County, we have several, in the DFW region that we're with.
Are you attached to that solar farm out there on Highway 80?
We are not attached to any solar farm.
You're not part of that. Okay. You talked about trucking water in. Where did you say you were trucking it from?
So we have to buy water rights from the surplus of water conservation district. We have not signed a contract, but once we do sign that contract, then it'll be public on our microsite page of where that water is coming from.
So you won't know where that water is coming from, whether it's going to be surrounding counties or on the coast or the mountains or where it is.
We will know, we just have to sign the contract to say this is where we're gonna get it from.
We don't know that.
We don't know at this point, but we will know shortly, once we sign, yeah, and once we, yeah, we can't, some stuff is just not, we don't, not public knowledge. So as soon as we sign that agreement with the water utility district, of whatever conservation district that is, then that will go on the website and be updated at who we're getting.
All right, and then you said 1,100 gallons per day per building.
Yes, ma'am.
How many buildings are we talking? Is
So
it
for 4 buildings for phase 1 is what we have master plan.
okay, just 4 buildings?
So the first phase, phase 2.
Which makes two.
That's encompass the whole 200 acres.
Yes, 4 buildings.
And then you got 200 adjacent across the road at future day. That too will have presumably 4.
Correct, yeah, we're looking at what we can fit on that right now, but 4 is a good.
So you, just a few moments ago, you said something about 40,000 gallons of water. Where does that number equate to the 1,100 per building?
So the 40 gallons is what I looked out to the size of the cooling tank, somebody said it, I didn't say that, so that'll be the size of the tank that's full on site for filling into the fire suppression.
So that's the first fill and then it progresses from there.
Correct.
And that will last how long?
Well, the fire suppression tanks, we're hoping we don't have to deploy with hot water. Now we're going to deploy if there's an emergency situation on site, so that 40 gallons is
So
there.
that's also for potential firefighting.
Right, yeah, correct. And the 1,100 gallons of water a day is for the building's operations. It's equivalent to 2 households with 4 people living inside it. Again, it's only for the employees inside of the building, for toilets, water fountains, and sinks.
And that's for during the construction phase, presumably.
That would be in operations.
All right, and then so that brings us to the jobs.
Yes, ma'am.
And you talk about 40 jobs per building
Yes, ma'am.
will be on the table.
Yes, ma'am.
And what types of jobs are these going to be? I saw only security and janitorial service.
No, it'll be, we have to have electrical engineers and mechanical engineers, she's more on the workforce piece.
I mean, I think you nailed it, but there are, professional engineers, professional jobs, and there are jobs that don't require a professional degree. So you do have your engineers, and you have your cybersecurity, you get your technical jobs, then you've also got maintenance jobs, to maintain that cooling and plumbing and electrical systems. So maintenance workers, electrical workers, and then you get into security, landscape, all kinds of jobs.
So the lower level stuff is going to be.
It's a mix.
And the high tech is going to be farmed in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. I mean, if there are qualified people that fill them, locals, yes.
Most of them are retired in this part. Right, and one last question, and I'll let somebody else have the floor. Did you guys get any tax breaks, incentives, abatements for the honor of coming in here and having good this year?
We have signed a tax agreement with the county for the first phase.
And what's the first phase?
So, like I just, the reason we signed it.
Okay, the first two minutes.
Yeah. So I think on the side we had 5.3 for the tax.
And the revenue from, Henderson Hospital and Student School Park as well.
So it's all like property taxes. The reason we signed an agreement is for the county, for us to have engagement with the county. So abatement tends to be like a charged word, but we're not trying to pay taxes. That's where we're actually trying to highlight how much we're paying taxes. And I just want to make sure that you spoke the step before. It's $5 million a year per building. Yeah, so that's see the way of how much tax revenue is going to be generated out of our contribution alone. That's really equal. And when we get our tenants, those tenants give like absolutely real value.
Do you have any idea who those tenants might be?
These are the tech giants of America.
Like the Metas and the Amazons and the cryptos and the
No, not crypto. So and there's a question about ownership, and the reason we care about our customers and again, what the crypto miners going to be just trying to be $1, whereas you look at what all these tech giants are doing because they want to actually be more businesses. They have different standards, and we want everybody to have sense to the best possible. And you can what I would love this year.
I'm not sure this falls under question, but I do have a few things I'd like to address because I've lived here, I'm up here, because I don't talk to them. Okay? My name is Cindy Vaughn, and I live in a rural area near Duke. And my husband and I live there on 62 Electric. That's in that. Okay, I understand. I'm an artist. I'm retired. I'm an artist. We don't have a truck, y'all. I drive a Subaru. Okay? That's gonna put me in a category for a bunch of you people. I'm not a tree-hugging, Kia car carrying person. I'm far from that. I'm very conservative, and I have a lot of concerns about this. But I'm going to tell you something that disturbs me. Okay? I'm just continuing. I just want to think this through. The first time I attended a commissioner meeting was last February, not this year, last year. I came because on social media, there was a giant going on saying, PepsiCo is going to come to Duke, and we're going to give y'all some money, and we're going to rename your town Hard Duke, and we're going to put a giant can out on the freeway so people will stop there and look and see what's going on. And I was like, well, who's going to give you permission to do that? Duke doesn't have a mayor. We don't have a city council. We don't have any kind of government in Duke. It's a community, okay? We don't have a city that deals with it. We're part of the county. We're not part of any city, okay? So the only thing I can think of to do, I talked to some of my friends and acquaintances that live in Deer, and they were like, oh, heck no, we don't want that one. So I came to the commissioner, right now to go. I said, guys, can this happen? Are y'all gonna let them come and pay some money? And by the way, where would that money go? Because it can spend it, there's no entity to spend it. Okay, so I was, and they allow me to come and put my name on the list where I can talk, because you can't just always go talk. It's like, I got on the list, I talked about it, and they said, hey, don't worry, we're not gonna be there. So guess what I was telling them? I went back and sat down. I went back and sat down, and this was the weirdest thing. It just so happened, because I sat down in that meeting, I saw nobody else good on. I don't know. Okay? While I was sitting there, some people came in and they were requesting a tax abatement. Well, first of all, I thought a tax abatement meant they didn't have to pay any taxes. That's what I thought. Oh, they don't get to pay taxes, but I have to. What's going on here? Okay, so that was upsetting. But what became more and more upsetting as this went on was that they were building a solar battery system. And the address that they gave was my address. That's where it was going to be built. That was pretty confusing for a few minutes until, let's see, Mr. Lane at the time was my commissioner, because Judge Rand was in his position now. So I was looking at him going, hey, that's where I live. How can this be happening? And I don't know. And he said, wait, it's across the street, from where you live. Well, does that make me feel better? No. Okay. I don't know what a battery system is, but I figured I better start finding out. So the man that was there, an executive, he gave some papers out about what that was, and they had a recess, and I went out and talked to Judge Rand and said, hey, I'll ask you anything you want to ask me, now's the time. So I went and asked him a bunch of questions, but guess what he said? He said all the kind of things that they're saying. He's like, this is really safe, there's no problem, don't worry, it doesn't have an environment. I was like, you know what, you work there, and I know you believe in that with all your heart, you wouldn't be here today. And so it's your job to tell me that, but I'm a little suspicious. Okay, so I came, I'm a little suspicious. I just want to know what's going on. So I asked him as many questions as I could think of, but I wasn't very educated, so they weren't necessarily
Just get to the point.
I didn't know. Okay, so then what I found out was, had I been coming to these commissioner meetings or looking at the agendas that are posted and required to be posted, these people didn't just come that day and ask. This had been going on for probably a year prior. This had been on the agenda. They had already permitted everything, not through our county. There are no permits required for our county. It was state and federal things that they had to do to be able to put this system there. And so they don't have any control over that. Well, more questions. The guy that leased them the land, that's his land. He can sell that land, he can lease that land just like any of you have property. You can sell it or lease it to whoever you wish. I really admire you if you're a person that would stay when a giant company comes in, or any individual, and says, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars, I'd like to purchase your land. If you choose not to, great. If you want to sell it, do you want these guys to be able to tell you, oh no, you can't sell it to them. You can only sell it to, we'll agree to let you sell it to. I don't think any of you want that. Do you want regulations that are going to say, you can't sell your land unless we approve it?
Actually, yes.
No.
Okay.
already knows what we can do on our land,
Okay.
what we can't.
You want that? You need to go to Dallas with an HOA. He's going to tell you you can have 2 trees. You must have 2 trees in your yard. You must mow your grass. You must do this. You must do that. Well, I know this is not a problem situation. We don't have an HOA. But these are people who do. They can't restrict that. Just like the lady that was talking about Little County. They tried. They got sued. They were going to get sued. So they backed off and they did something a little less. And I really think the little less is great. I mean, it's better than not having it. But what I'm trying to tell you is, the very thing that is getting most people excited, and you're finding this on social media. The social media that's powered by the data centers that you're fighting against, okay? Everybody here uses some sort of information that these data centers are going to survive. I don't want the data center to be loud, because I'm sorry, I really don't want to know that term, but it is at this moment. And so I'm happy about that, but I'm into batteries, which are much more dangerous than a data center, okay? That's scary. But I can't stop that. It's done. The man sold his property. It was his right to do so. Somebody sold him that property. It was their right to do so.
3 minutes.
Eminent domain.
And I understand it affects everybody. But you don't want your neighbor, if your neighbor sells that property, you
You've had
can't
5
control
minutes.
that, and neither can they.
You've had 5 minutes.
Okay. You know, a couple other people have more time as well. Okay.
But they
I know my
but
opinion
they
isn't
can't do
necessarily
it
popular, but be careful what you wish for. Because you don't want so many regulations that you can't control your own.
You don't want any regulations at all.
No, I do want some, but I don't think that, they can't stop it. They can only put some regulations in it.
I just feel like earlier you stood up to answer what 5 people have asked, and then everybody told you to shut up and sit down. No, and so my question to you is, can you take a few minutes and help us understand, if you all are county elected officials and you make these decisions, then when they dazzle us with, we're going to give millions of dollars to your local community, I'd like to know what we're getting out of it. I'm assuming it's that tax money. I understand if the sheriff's department needs a jail, but I'd like to know what's being done for my family who lives in this community and wants to stay in this community, if that makes sense. But I'm not going to tell you to sit down and shut up because I need to know.
Jail is one of our big issues. Our plans for this, to lower taxes. I mean, that's the old one thing is to lower taxes.
Yeah.
And still provide quality services and try to improve infrastructure.
Board, you can go. Yeah, I think the main thing to remember is each year our tax base depreciates. People have, it's owned by somebody, not owned by the company. But there's depreciation. So it's kind of a vicious cycle that once those assets depreciate, we kind of count on something coming back in the next year to build that tax base up. And so you might have noticed in the last year that we've had 2 pretty good sized pipelines that's come through the county. Okay, that helps a lot. Okay, that's stuff that, you know, it happens, it gets covered up, it's kind of outside our mind, and people don't realize that just took the place of a lot of appreciation. Well, my goal would be to keep this county as rural as it is right now for as long as possible. But when you look at trying to fill in the gaps for that depreciation over time, you look at certain companies that want to come to your county. We can compare with, let's just say it's a big industrial type job. Maybe it's a chicken processing plant that needs 500 employees. So now what we've done is we've just brought in 500 employees that may or may not have wives and children, so we're moving up 1,500 people into the county. Okay? At that point in time, you don't see a lot of extra rentals or anything like that right now. If those are low-paying jobs, typically what happens is you start putting order strain on your emergency services, emergency response. It affects the classrooms in the schools, kindergarten all the way up. You have developers that buy that piece of land that you don't want to see a big company destroy. So it's just as bad as they get all busted up into 1 acre tracts and on the finance for people that don't have a Social Security number. It happens. You got to pick your battle. Like I say, there's clean money and there's dirty money. I'm not saying that I don't think there's anything that's perfect. We've got 2 plants that operate in the Fairfield Industrial Park over here. One of them makes asphalt emulsion, and one of them makes a chemical that causes lumber to be fire retardant. Nobody can guarantee that 10 years from now, somebody that works at one of those plants is not going to have some health effects from working there. And it was never guaranteed that anybody that worked at the big brown either. So again, I'm trying to figure out What is it? Why can't we see that? I mean, this is something, to me, it's a large tax base increase that can happen whether we allow it or not. You know, we don't have the authority to say nothing. But to do business with them, we do have a seat at the table. So again, I'm not picking this as my number one pick, but they're here. You know, we didn't invite them, but they're here.
And I want to go back to economics things. Our valuation is 3.8 by law. Okay, things go up. I mean, since 20, I mean, cost of everything went up. Our operating costs. It's going to struggle. Well, by law, we can only go up 3.5%. 3.5% of 33.5% is 1 penny. 1 penny is all by law we can go up. That means that all we can go up legally when we work a budget, if we need more money to cover, like the jail, that's $380,000 is all we get out of it, without going to the voters to raise taxes. So we're sitting here, I mean, we're trying to manage this situation, y'all, the best we can. I mean, Freestone Academy is a lot to all of us. I mean, we've got generations. We're trying to protect things for our kids, our grandkids. We've been dealing with this for 50 years. People older than me will vouch for this. It started with Big Brown. They come in here, they took people's family lands, changed the identity. You couldn't find grandma and grandpa's house because it got stripped of it. You know, we're talking about the wildlife, the environment. Okay? Then came along, they started drilling gas wells in the middle 70s. But then here we got pipelines going through the middle of things. We got well locations, we got compressor stations, we got that. Then we had another power plant coming in the south part. That's 20,000 acres. Jack, you know, lost its identity, taken it from him. One of my best friends, their family farm got threatened on eminent domain, so they forced to sell. They didn't even mind. They put a high fence around it, put a cabin, a lodge, and it was a getaway for HLP. We've been dealing with this stuff, talking about our rural way of life. Okay, then Richland Chambers come in. Tarrant County needed water. Right. So here they go. They take family property from people up there. Their grandma, grandpa, great grandparents' house is underwater. So somebody in Tarrant County can drink. All right. Then and now people move in their recreation on top of that land. Those people didn't want to settle that land. Then the oil and gas came back in the 90s with a vengeance. Unprecedented. Drilled 5, you know. I mean, it's unheard of for gas wells to be, you know, it was a new deal. I worked for them. I mean, I lived in that oil and gas. Not even critical. It was a trade-off. Bought 80 acres off the highway in 99 with 2 young kids. Wondered how we was going to pay for it. I said, we'll always put 2 acres off and somebody, you know, we got to buy it. They drilled 5 wells on it. And house place, I mean, we've been dealing with this stuff, y'all. All right, on the other side, without all of that, y'all talk about this rural way of life. When I was in the 70s, when the school bus gets stuck, it could be wasn't even blacktop roads, wasn't even gravel. Without that oil and gas and those utilities, which pay 60 to 70% of the taxes for years, you wouldn't be driving on these blacktop roads. Would be eating dust. I mean, I thought about it's a trade-off, y'all. We're trying to manage this situation. We've been managing it for 50 years. Other people before us. And we're trying to do the best we can for the people. And I had to say that.
Can I speak to that?
Thank you.
Can I speak to that, though, as somebody whose family has been here since the previous 2 centuries ago? We'd like to feel, though, that the county commissioners are at least, because it does say here, that no, you don't have a whole lot of responsibility for noise control, but they can enforce state regulations. And we'd like to feel like someone has our backs, because I hear that compression plant all the time. You know, my grandparents made decisions, my parents made decisions that I now have to live with. And that's fine, that's life, I do get that. But there are state laws and state regulations that I don't think are always being upheld. And I want to be assured that the people who represent me at the county level are doing their due diligence. And so that is our concern about the data centers as well. If it hasn't happened with the natural gas compression plants, is it going to happen with the data centers?
And what it has been addressed by the county multiple times for lots of years. The compressors, what we have found is we have reached out to the railroad position, to the DCEQ.
Oh, I know, I do.
And it's a pass the buck. Nobody wants to be responsible for that.
Of course they don't, and we're stuck at the point right now, of course we need revenue. You have to have revenue for hospitals, you have to have revenue for schools. But when we keep having a legislature that makes constitutional amendments where there's just nobody's paying any taxes now, well, of course the corporations are gonna get a tax abatement, come in and then have a windfall because, well, I don't want my taxes to go up.
I wanna address the noise complaint too, because I have personal issues with that myself. We have, as the sheriff's office, we have contacted the complaints.
I called you before.
Okay? And we contact the people we're supposed to, which is the railroad commission. There's nothing else we can do.
I've gone around
If they're the ones that are responsible for keeping up with that. How they do it, what they do, I don't know. I just know that we do report it. I don't like it either. I know we mentioned low-level noise in here earlier. Obviously, that's been a problem. We've had people, I know at least two that on top of my head, that have come to Commissioner's Court on a regular basis because they can hear it. I can't. That part doesn't bother me, but it bothers me that that's an issue. But when we turn it over to the people that we're supposed to, and I know the county judge has done it, I know the commissioners have listened to it, I know I've done my part as far as our office, we can't help that part because we've done what we were supposed to do.
So then are we gonna be really excited when another company wants to come in with something that potentially is gonna cause some noise pollution?
That you're not gonna be able to do anything about, because it's just gonna be stuck in a circle and nobody wants to talk about it.
I think that's where the abatement process comes in because they have to abide by what we agreed to as far as the noise. If they do not, then they're gonna be at full.
They're a big corporation that's just gonna be able to pay whatever they're flying from. And then
And
it's not
I guess what I'm saying is I wish someone would take it serious when we say that we were within 100 feet of the loudest part of the data center, which is the chillers on the outside, and they were at the levels, the readings were at the levels that they'll have to be at out here on the edge of the property.
I think the biggest reason why so many of us doubt that is because we see videos of data centers that are very noisy. You say the other, and what correlates along with that is just what the sheriff said, and you guys all know that I respect that, every one of you. I truly do. The problem is that nothing was set up before all of this started. I know you say you posted, I know it's required, but you could have done differently, because you guys know that I came as a lone voice in the beginning, one voice, and it's growing and growing, and it's growing across the state. I would like, but we can't back it up, just like we can't back up the data center that wants to come here. We can't back that up. But collectively, you guys could have gotten us, Freestone County residents, aware of, hey, we got this coming. Guys, we need you to know what's going on. We need your voice. We need your input. We need your voice. We know where the real problem is. It's Governor Abbott. He has the G. All of us need to be calling him and telling, insisting that he is, because counties don't have the G. Governor can give it to us. He can call the special sessions. He can do it. You guys can be teaching everybody this. I've been doing it on Facebook all the time. And I'm not taking credit for anything. I'm just saying,
I am making people aware. We can call the governor. We can insist on a special session. And guess what? Now, an hour and a half ago, the governor of Abbott is finally starting to do something. We could have done this last week. We could have. We could have started a strong voice. And that's all I want to know. I just want to know how we can hold this company accountable as they continue to grow, because we're stuck with them. So we want them to become a real neighbor, like my neighbor next door. When I go knock on their door. If there's some trash around, I say, hey guys, if you're too busy, can I mow your lawn for you? We can do those kind of things. I want them to be accountable to us. That's where you guys should have, I think, been accountable and made us get off your couch, come to our meeting, call Governor Abbott, because we've got a data center that wants to come here. I don't want someone not to be able to sell their land. I don't want them to be able to sell their land to destroy everything else for everybody else. And that's a very fine line. And there's Judge Becerra down in Yates County. He said it better than I did. He said, I support all technology and data centers, but not at the expense of our community. And that's how.
I have a question. Yes, I'm a resident here. We have 10 acres. I heard Bruce last week, but I thank you, Cyrus One, for being so upfront. Because I don't think a lot of the data centers would have done that. So I want you to know, I do appreciate you vetting the question here. One of the things that I just heard about is the possibility of an agricultural development district. This is something that a lot of the counties are looking at. It is something that would be structured around agricultural preservation, water protection, and environmental monitoring rather than developmental promotion. And I think a lot of you who have done your homework on this realize that the reason this is happening in a lot of areas of Texas is because the areas are not incorporated. It's wide open spaces, there's no regulation, there's nothing. So to me, it sounds like perhaps our county can join the other counties and invest in time and legislation that, yes, Cyrus One will probably be here, but the next one that comes in may not be as forthright and may not want to work with us. But if we are in an agricultural development district, that would protect our land, it would protect the values. People that are looking to different areas would hopefully say, okay, what kind of zoning do you get? What are the chances that I'm going to have a facility move next door to me and buy 1,000 acres and put up something that's not regulated, that is, using water resources and everything else? That would be a nightmare. Anyway, that's all I have to say, and I appreciate your time.
My name is Courtney Johnson. I actually had the pleasure of speaking with Commissioner Judge Ray on the phone yesterday for about 60 minutes, asking him my questions that I had with us. And the main thing that I took away from our conversation was that he's a pretty good salesperson. He almost had me. He had no intentions of even trying to put in a moratorium or any kind of stopping this. Basically, he said it's too late for our town. While our conversation initially eased some of my worries, I remember we do not live in a laboratory where all the variables can be easily controlled. We obviously live in the real world, where variables are much harder to control. And we live in Texas, where we all know it's really hot, and where a lot of people depend on the land for their source of income. So what happens when we end up finding forever chemicals in our soil? You just said it will leak, and even in the most microscopic amount, it will contaminate and forever be in our water and our soil. And it will harm us and animals, even in the most microscopic amount. So it's a closed system, yes, but you just said it's going to come out liquid. But even, like I said, in those most microscopic amounts, it will be in our water. the water. Are they going to shut down the data center? No, because there are currently no regulations for forever chemicals or even mandated testing. The water may not be coming from here, but does that mean it's okay to take it from, when I talked to him on the phone yesterday, he gave me name Arkansas for where our water is coming from. Obviously, we know that's not true, nobody knows.
That's the last location that I was told by John Hager. John Hager, who works for us, I was one, told that to us in court the day that we were having the groundwater district president in his courtroom. That more than likely, he said, the water would be coming from Arkansas, be trucked in, be treated water through the glycol corrosion efforts.
Well, my point still stands. Is it okay to be taken for those men, women, and children? Leave them suffering? No, absolutely not. Build a transitional power source. What happens when it's 110 outside, more data centers get built, and it can't keep up with its demands? Is it going to use our backup? No. Okay, well, we'll see. So data centers are quieter than power sources, I have told well, and you all told today. Well, what happens when you have multiple fans adding to that noise? Will our quiet town still be quiet? Now, light. You said that is downcasted light, which on the surface sounds like other ends of light. But expanded over hundreds of acres, there still will be light pollution, driving out creatures like pollinators, bringing further devastation. Not to mention that Mr. Lane himself confirmed that these data centers aren't just for more cloud storage, but for collecting data on us, for federal level government spying. There is too much real world evidence out here proving that these centers are not built with our best interests at heart and should not be taken so lightly. So again, my main takeaway is that our local government has seemed to forget that this is a government for and by people, not for big corporations, personal greed, or for them alone to make huge decisions. It seems they have tried to hide the proposal from us to avoid backlash and fast-track their agenda. We almost got away with it. But now we know, and you must listen, that there are secrets coming out, and more people are starting to realize the corruption that is being brought into this town. Anyone that is not willing to take immediate aggressive action or listen to the will of the people should step down or be voted out.
I'm Robert Sharp, and I've been a part of this community for 35 plus years. One thing I value as a veteran is our process of government. We elected you, representatives, to represent us. And I believe that you've done your due diligence on this. I appreciate the company here coming to hear our concerns, present this information to us. Some of us are a little bit Johnny-come-lately to this subject. Commissioner's Court is always posted on the agenda. It's public information. You always have an opportunity to come up here and speak to your elected representatives. They always have opening session, 3 minutes. You can line up. How many of you turn out and vote in your primary? We've got 13,000 voters here in this county, somewhere around there. I'm an election judge out of Precinct 4. These are our neighbors sitting up here. We got people out here in the audience calling them corrupt, saying the process is corrupt. They're putting money in their pockets. If you really believe that, take it to the grand jury. Any one of you can take some information like that and turn it into the grand jury to be investigated. I find it highly offensive to sit here and accuse our neighbors of something like that. I'm old school. We'd be down in the parking lot with Sheriff Shigley over there having to breaking up the situation. I've been known to make it a little bit hot-headed at times. That really got me fired up sitting down here. From a national security standpoint, you got cables that run from San Francisco to Seattle to our Asian partners, Japan, South Korea, that keep this communication going when the satellites may be under attack during a war. We got enemies around the world, China, North Korea, Iran, people that don't like us, Russia. These data centers provide a national security implications to our country, to our republic that many of us fought and sacrificed for. I'm not saying all of them are good, some of them probably host porn that we might not want to indulge in or want our kids to access. But that takes some personal responsibility of implementing things in your home to prevent that type of access. Government, having a free society, as we were told by our founders, take eternal vigilance for liberty. You can't wait till the last minute after these elected officials have to do their due diligence. Go down here, hear the noise. If I had to make a critique, I would have maybe said, go do that before you sign the agreement. You know? The representatives up here are committed to us, they're going to put this information that's lacking on the website. We're going to have an opportunity to use ChatGPT, upload those forms in and ask our questions to that smart AI. I got where I use that thing all the time.
Who cares? Nobody needs it.
This is my time. A lot of people out here can interrupt it, and most have a lot of time to talk. This is my couple minutes. Now, there's good and bad. But show up at your commissioner's court, show up at your school board, show up at your city council, write your congressman a letter. Get involved. Our country's on fire in a lot of ways. And if we just sit back, do our days, we're all busy. We all got jobs. We don't want taxes to go up when we can't afford, or we're not in a position to be able to pass our land and our cattle operation, or whatever you're into, over to your descendants. It has to be a balance on income. They've expressed what our tax burdens are. We all want low taxes. If you compare our county to surrounding counties, to the big counties, they have a higher burden than we do. Yes, it's spread out amongst more people, but we don't have the people to spread it out over. We don't have the big businesses to bring in huge sales taxes like Sam's or something that generates a lot of cash flow. So these people that have to weigh all of this, the budget, the need, the hospital, the schools, we have entrusted them to represent us. They're not doing a good job. Some of them had challengers during the primary. We had a town hall meeting over here. Insist on more town hall meetings. Pick you a good candidate in the primary. Run against one you don't like. That's how we get better government. That's how we improve the system. We just can't show up and bitch at the last minute. And I'm just concerned. I came here to learn. And then go back and do some more research. And then write my judge, write my commissioner over here. I'll tell you, every time I call Commissioner Ridge for a problem, he's Johnny on the spot. I have had no problems with any of my elected officials at this local level. And local government is the best government. So I want to thank you. I thank you for having this town hall meeting. I thank every one of you for showing up and hearing and get your voices heard. That's how we make progress. That's how we make improvement. So let's continue the process. Get those documents up on your website. Maybe make a place where we can sign up on an email list. Anytime we make changes, it goes out to the community. My only constructive concern on the YouTube page, get better microphones so I can hear the judge. And I can hear you, commissioners. I'm one of those guys that turn it on at 11 o'clock at night. That's how I fall asleep. So there's my pitch for today. Thank you.
Did I hear you say one of the companies that bought Cyrus out with BlackRock? I may have misunderstood.
Yeah, there's two owners. The two primary owners of the company was BlackRock.
Yeah, that's one thing. My second question is to the Cyrus group here. Where do you guys live at?
I live in Dallas, and I wanted to let you know we do have a website for Freestone. Send it to the judge. We need to give it paper. You can find it by going to cyrusfund.com, searching Freestone in the search bar. So I wanted to finish that. I live in Dallas.
Thank you.
75239.
born and raised in Dallas, and I live there.
And I still live in Dallas, California.
Alright, so none of you guys live out in the rural areas, have farms, anything like that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So if they were building a Cyrus or another data center in your backyard, would you have issues with that?
I live in
And why don't you allow it now?
So there's a very, very big difference, and it just is unfortunately the truth, that cities have zoning regulations. So I would, personally, like, I wouldn't purchase a house next to an industrial park. I would. But that's because I live in the city. And in the county, you don't have zoning regulations. So I think, said it now, I'll say to you, like, we understand your concern, and we, rightfully so.
But you'll put an industrial park beside a house.
We don't.
But you won't live by it.
We try extremely hard at all of our facilities to distance our buildings from residential homes.
And that's why you picked Freestone County, there's none of that here.
We picked Freestone. So, yeah, we picked Freestone County specifically because of the land and the power availability.
The what?
The land and the power availability.
That you're stealing from the Freestone Energy Center? You're leveraging the community by taking the power away to the Freestone Energy Center, powering your batteries.
I can't hear you taking power away.
Yeah, you're hemorrhaging our community by taking away its power, right? You are right next to the desk, or the Freestone Energy Center, yes?
We are not taking power from the grid. We're building our own power in alignment with what's currently there.
What are you gonna have? What kind of generation are you gonna have?
So they have a surplus of generation currently at their facility. We're having a substation, our own substation on site that we are paying for, to pay the surplus of power for our facility.
The substation doesn't generate power.
Correct, there's a surplus of power from that facility, from the California facility.
Was the power plant?
Correct.
Sorry, let me, I want to give a old F5 plant, a new plant. The two gas turbines that yeah, 20 years old. This new plant, what they call it, it's a dual cycle.
Yes.
Combined
cycle unit.
Which means it can fluctuate with how the grid needs the power a little bit easier. That new plant is putting power into the grid. The old plant is what I've been told that Cyrus wanted to purchase the power from the old plant. And that's where their power is coming from.
Gotcha. And then, so y'all are partnered with BlackRock, right? Or owned by BlackRock?
So the way, the company used to be a publicly traded company, it's taken private. There's two buyers, one was KKR, one was another company called Global Infrastructure Partners. Global Infrastructure Partners has been subsequently acquired by BlackRock, so that's why we have those two big owners.
So y'all are gonna have Palantir then inside these facilities as part of your technology? Or
We couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I said, are they gonna have Palantir inside these facilities since they're, equally partnered with BlackRock?
So BlackRock is a company that has $14 trillion of assets in investment work. You have to understand, we're trying to do what we build the data centers. We have a certain number of customers. We make a very small list of customers we work with. It's like the American giants like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta. Those are our four biggest customers. We don't work with Bitcoin miners. We Palantir would qualify for our sort of list of qualifications. So no, like, to be very clear, no, we have these 4 or 5 big customers that we work with.
I actually thought you had one of the largest DOD contracts in the nation.
No, but
For AI.
yeah. You were selected by the government to build data centers in that way.
That's right.
And the reason they want to do that is they want to be able to utilize government land to build data centers. So that's what they wanted us to do.
You're right.
What percentage of the components in your building are made in the United States?
That's an excellent question.
I don't know the answer, but I'm gonna make it up.
But the summary statement is we don't, like, the subtext of the question is, are we buying anything Chinese manufacturers? And that's what we know, and that's for security reasons, because what about being a government, kind of selected provider, we have to be very, 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 very specific about national security. I think the gentleman mentioned national security. Like, we have certain clearances that obviously we can't buy certain vendors. We don't have any Huawei, we don't, like, we very conscious we don't buy Chinese manufactured anything. If that was the subject.
actually have a question for Terry Glenn. I think someone asked it, but it never got actually answered, was what happens to the water in the closed loop system that like eventually that kind of need replaced or
Yes, we made a list of all the questions. We'll make sure that Eric has left ours on the table. So if you want to get ours,
but where is it dumped?
So our water system, the food system is never replaced. It's never dumped out. And you're welcome to, and I encourage any of you, if you are in the DFW region, to drive by one of our facilities. You can drive right in front of them and see how close they are to residents. You get out of your car and hear it. You can see, if there's any emissions or things like that. I just, to hold truth, like you can literally drive out to our facility and stand out and listen to it. But for our water systems, we have yet to have a facility where we had any incident where there was leakage, where we had to replace the coolant system. It is treated water, but we haven't had a facility where we had to dump all the water out and put water back in. In an instance where something like that would happen, we do have on-site septic systems that we use for domestic use, and then we also have different types of drainage systems to capture that water if there was ever an incident. We have never had one listed in the history of the company to date.
But it's only been like what, 5 or 6 years you said?
No, our facilities in business for 20 years.
And then I guess this is more for the commissioners. What are the consequences if the contract abridgments, basically if they break something in their contract, if what they're saying about the water is not true, if they take more power, like what are the consequences for them, and are they even strong enough to keep them from doing them?
I think, again, there's a misunderstanding that we have all this power and control. They can hold these people anything, and that's not true.
Well, that's scary,
if
too.
we allow them to have a thing, then whatever we can get them to put in writing, is in writing. And if they violate anything in that agreement, then it's null and void. All that does is they lose their payment. It still doesn't mean that we get to join and take over their company. We don't have that power.
The state should be responsible for holding them accountable.
That's what the bond is saying. They do not have to put up with the bonds in the county. You can't even ask them to put up a bond for what they're building, because they're building it on private land. If they were using a county road to get to their property, then yes, we could make them give us a bond for road use agreement. We got a road use agreement in place with them from the phase 1 of this anyway, in case they find materials that happens to come off of the county road. So we did get a road use agreement as well as the other water and all that. But again, I just hate the misconception that if they break one of their promises, what's the accountability? There's only one accountability. They lose their abatement. It doesn't give us any more power. They just lose their abatement.
Have you been looking to ask the state to give you more power on that?
It's being talked about in, this upcoming legislature. We have it called a special session. I would love that. But, I mean, for people to come and think that we can do anything at this local level, that's nice, that's your voice. You still gotta call your Congress. You still gotta call your state.
Well, that's why we voted for you guys to speak up for us and go to that next level. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing a lack of right now. It's just like you obviously heard from the majority. Like I feel like this is the general consensus of the town that we don't want it. Plus, I have a petition with almost 300 additional signatures of people in our county being against this. So again, it's just like, okay, yeah, there's nothing we can do about it, but that's not true. You guys are supposed to be our voice and magnify it to the people that have the power to change this. And that's what we want from you guys.
You have state representatives. It takes everybody.
Yes, and I have personally contacted Governor Adams.
Exactly.
I go to Austin about 3 times a year, and I stay in touch with my legislators and my senators and everybody. I can assure you, from my point of view, I will be talking about it because it's an issue with me when we have a problem and the state that's supposed to be tending to it is not tending to it. So I can assure you that that will be part of my conversation when I go to Austin. And I'm going in July or August next, so.
I think that's like a lot of our issues. It's the deregulation of these things to allow them to build, so where there is really no safety standards. I've also been in contact a couple times with the TCEQ, and just learning really, I never even heard of them before, but I called them, and basically they can't do anything until something's already been done, environmentally hazardous-wise. But what I kept been told by multiple people there is that these things are popping up so fast that they can't keep up, or they don't even have really any new regulations for these things. There's no policy right now to regulate them efficiently. And so it's just kind of like, oh, well, something's going to happen, but then it's just going to be too late. Like,
I just wanted to make a quick note. So my team and I work a lot with TCU, U.S. Army Corps. Yes, we do have third-party vendors that vet all of our local reports. The reports have to be submitted to TCQ and the Army Corps for them to make sure that we are being held accountable for the environmental, water, and like impact studies that we do. We try really hard at all our facilities that if we get a complaint or if we get what's called a violation notice of a neighbor that says, maybe that our facility was too loud, as soon as we get that call, every management is impossible to fix that issue.
So your facilities have had complaints of being too loud?
No, we don't actually. We had one happen recently. We have a facility up in Chicago. That's not my district, so I don't remember exactly what it was. The facility's been there for 10 years and has never had one complaint. Recently, there's also been a lot of social media posts about statuses in general, and so somebody did put a complaint about our facility. It's been there for 10 years, nobody ever complained. Somebody went in and put a complaint in. Our team went out, looked at the facility, went and met with this resident, tried to hear what they were hearing, if they could hear. Like, we take those violations very seriously as a business. And again, we spend quite a bit of time on the front end, making sure that we're, like, all the reports in the Hill County development standards that she pointed out, those are pretty standards that every developer has to pull whenever they're looking at a property. So every single one of those reports have already, that study's already been done on this property.
So my follow-up question would be, so what did you do to fix the situation? Or was it?
Yeah, Eric, so Eric is just what we did is just be very clear that there wasn't a formal complaint, but what we just had to do is just speak to the neighbor and to make sure that people aren't suffering. We put in a $15 million flat wall and a 10-year wall. And basically what it does is it blocks the sound so the way it's a long concrete barrier that basically makes sure that the sound bounces back into the generator or the chiller.
And our standard now is that all of our facilities have that wall. Our new facilities.
This one will have that wall as well?
Yes, all of our facilities now have sound attenuation.
Where can we find the environmental impact study that's been done?
So then there will be memos on, so like Katie said, we have a Freestone, it's called a Freestone FAQ page. You can find it on our website. Those reports will be linked in there along with the environmental study and our sustainability study. You asked us a question today, and I know this low on frequency. So the reason we don't have any questions is we've never been asked that question before. It's a recent thing that people have been asking us. So we will make sure that we have the study where we'll have it posted as well, at least as the results. So all the questions that were asked today will be addressed on that website. There will also be an email link. So if you have a question that's not addressed on that website, you can email us directly and say, I have an additional question that I would like information on. And if it's relevant, we'll post it on the website. So it'll consistently be updated with information as the residents ask for them. And then my business card is there as well. If you have a question, you're welcome to email me or shoot me a text message. And I do this all the time. It's probably stuff. But if there's a question and I can address it, I'm happy to do so. And if I don't know the answer, I will know the answer for you.
Erica and Nikki, you have mentioned sites.com.
Yes.
I was scrolling through it, I would hate that pages, a lot of pages.
Yeah.
Could you be a little more specific about where to find it?
Go to the search.
Well, I couldn't find the search.
That little magnifying.
We can help
you directly to, because I got that link from them yesterday. It's about 20 questions that have answers. I thought it was good, because I didn't even know it existed yesterday.
So we'll make sure that it's posted live. And we can help you on your phone. Yes, yep.
I'm just the meeting license, and I'm wondering, is this kind of cost like electric bill go up?
So it will not. So Cyrus One pays for all of our own upgraded infrastructures to get power to our facility. We take pride in the fact that what our projects do does not impact resident rates. Yes, sir.
First off, y'all have no facts that are correct. I worked in the water system for the Fairfield on 4 a.m. I was contacted for water we use for construction.
Okay.
Did y'all know that?
That our general contractor comes
You know what y'all have to do? You have to go permit 2 wells to get y'all construction water. That's not even been mentioned here at all.
Well, we're talking about operationally, our construction does have to get their own water to do the construction on the site. That's separate.
Now we bring that forward. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir, nobody asked me about the construction water. But yes, that's correct. Our general contractor has a separate contract where they get water temporarily during construction. Yes.
And to your point of email and y'all answer a question, I asked a simple question, would somebody be here for these meetings? I've never gotten response.
Did you email
on the Sirius One website?
Okay, thank you for letting me know that. At a different town hall, another resident said that John Hayden is our president and CEO, and when we got back to the office, he said, figure out where that email went, and I want a response right now. So I will go back and I will look and figure out why you didn't get a response to that question.
I have a second question. It's pertaining to what our local government has the ability to do and not. If our elected officials say no to phase 2, will Sirius continue with construction of phase 2?
Are you asking Cyrus One?
Sir,
I can't answer the question.
Will you build phase 2 if our elected officials say no to the reinvestment fund?
So I want to make sure I perfectly understand your question. So you're asking if somehow the commissioners say that we do not want you to build, would we still build?
Yes, phase 2.
Well, the reinvestment
Yes.
zone, if you don't get the tax abatement of the reinvestment zone, will you still build?
Yeah. So the answer is no. We're not trying to be abrasive and fight for the community, right? So if we're not all done, like, the commissioner basically say, like, hey, it's done.
You haven't purchased that second 200 acres yet, you've not purchased it, you're not, that's correct.
That's correct.
Okay, so actually, our elected officials have more power than what I thought because of y'all's decision.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it would be a Cyrus One decision to proceed with or without the tax abatement.
And more than likely, the first thing that would happen is some other data company will go to that same willing seller because they know that there's power right across the road. So you gotta keep that in mind.
What is y'all's plans? Y'all been tearing down all the trees and clearing it. What are y'all's landscaping plans? Are y'all gonna try to make that more pleasant to look at for everybody traveling on the road? Is there something online with plans?
Yes, so one of the things that we are facing, Katie and I, as we're kind of doing our tour of Texas, meeting with residents, is how can we make our facilities, our landscaping look. If you go to our Plano facility, it looks very Plano. And so what can we do to make our facilities in a more rural community look more natural and like using natural vegetation? Maybe we're talking about those different facades for the front of the building. So we will be doing landscaping on site. We would like to use natural vegetation so that it can look more like the community that building is in and look at the works.
I could have saved a lot of money by leaving 100 foot of that natural vegetation that was already there.
We tried to leave as much of that buffer as we could. It's a very tight spot for the buildings. So yeah, we have to.
Sorry. How close to the road is it going to be to the building?
Typically, we're typically around 300 to 500 feet from the road. And in the tax abatement agreement, we do have a setback from any residential home, but there isn't a residential home buffering our facility right
We talked about the noise, what about construction noise? Is that daytime only or?
Yes, so the biggest, hardest hurdle of any development is during construction. There will be noise during construction. Our construction team typically runs a 7 to 7 and sometimes 2 shifts. That will probably, we don't do construction overnight, we don't do construction on the weekends. It would be during the week, 7 to 7. And the bulk of, I think where we see the most activity is typically the beginning during earthwork, so we're grading the property.
What percentage of the construction workers are hired locally?
So there's, just reiterating again what the county judge said, so the tax abatement agreement has regulations on, we have to try to employ 50% of our construction workers to be within the county. If there's no tax abatement, we're allowed to bring people in from other places. Our preference is always to hire local. So our GC will come in, they'll do job fairs, we'll do hiring on site. We really try as a company, but then also an obligation to the county to hire local for all the construction work. And we try to use local restaurants for catering, events, things like that. For signage, like when we have to print signs, anything we can do to contribute locally is what we try to do.
One last thing I want to get out here. You said that the decibel level for 60 per building, right? Something along that line?
Yes.
How many total buildings are you trying to put there? And are you taking into account what y'all's abatement about being about 60, the cumulative levels of 60 decibels? So
it's
it gains ground the more you have.
Yes, so it's not per building. It doesn't matter how many buildings we have in there. At the property line, it has to be with 60 decibels.
Okay.
And our buildings, again, we have a really sophisticated engineering team, so we try to attenuate as much as we can to be inside of the building and inside of our den yard, so that way, even when you're sitting in the parking lot in front of our building, you should not be able to hear.
So realistically, 60 is a high level. You'll probably be quite a bit lower in anticipation of the total amount of coming at the roof.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes.
I have a question. I have 2 questions actually. One question is, how much statistically, how many jobs are gained during the building process? And statistically, how many jobs are lost after the facility is finished being built?
So typically during construction, we can hire anywhere from 200 to 300 people for construction. I will say, I don't know the statistics of how many of those construction workers stay, become full-time employees because they're contractors through our general contractor. What I will say is that our operations team, typically a lot of those guys started in construction, they're familiar with their buildings, they're really hard workers, and we try to keep them as long as possible. But I can look and see if we have any statistics from our HR team.
Okay, I guess as somebody with a healthcare background, have you guys done any studies on health implications with data centers in general? Can you touch on that?
This won't be perfect, I don't have an exact answer, but I had a groundbreaking last week at staff with our head on safety. And it was really cool to hear some of the work that she's shepherding on site, at the Boston site. I didn't realize that we have full healthcare teams on site. She said a lot of these construction workers maybe don't take the best care of themselves, but if it's convenient, you can go see a nurse while you're at work. They take full advantage of that, which I thought was really cool. But what was your specific question? I'll be glad to follow up.
Just long-term implications, health implications.
Health effects. I have never heard of any adverse health impacts. In my 6 years of working in the data center, but I'd be happy to double check with our EHS group.
Just have a thing, so as Kate mentioned, these buildings are just basically big buildings with a bunch of servers in them, and so what makes them more sophisticated is like cooling equipment, like the things to keep them up long. The same exact mission critical infrastructure that hospitals use. So the reason, luckily the reason we've never gone to center long-term impacts of data centers is because life-giving spaces like hospitals are using the same exact infrastructure to support the building, and So that's, just explains why we have really done longer studies as an industry, to see if it didn't feel really necessary to be added.
Will any of your unit components be manufactured in China?
Sure, I think there was still a question earlier, but yeah, we have a lot of government relationships, and we have like skip level type of facilities that have been built, and so the point is we're thinking all about.
I'll just make a suggestion to the community. We don't want you to develop that phase 2 on the 200 acres. It's still the free market. Collectively, we can go and compete with Cyrus One and make a bid to that landowner and turn it into a park for all these little critters. So it's be blessed that we're in a free marketplace if we could do something like that. Thank you. Y'all done a great job.
Thank you so much.
I do have one more question.
Oh, yes.
There's 256 towns in the state, I think, 54. 460 data centers so far, roughly, 264. And these are all located in 35 counties only.
Yes.
That's roughly 15 data centers per county, off the top of my head.
Yes.
If you guys approve this, are you just gonna keep building them? It seems like every county that gets involved with this, all of a sudden has 15 of them. So we started with 1 and 2. I wanna know what the condition draws the line.
Yes. Do you want to talk?
I wanna know what Cyrus thinks first. Do you plan on building another one?
Well, so I think that it's an excellent point, and the reason there's a lot of concentration within certain counties is because of the power is. So if you go to like Abilene, Texas, which is quite famous for the Stargate data center complex that's being built out as a huge scale data center. The reason Oracle and OpenAI has located there is because there was the ability to power. So that's why they did density and type of concentration. But as we mentioned, we're like, and I hope this is evident, we're truly trying to be transparent. We're truly trying to keep members of the community. It's a 25-year company. We're trying to folks in the local volunteers. And so by coming in a community, we're trying to see that sort of long term. You don't build a 25-year business, build these data centers throughout, and build that customer relationships. Even work for that maybe little longer. I think we like to differentiate ourselves versus something like that here.
Right.
Well, so I mean, so our plan is 4, and then we build, if we do phase 2, there's a limit on how powerful these. So frankly, we're not going to ever build, no one can ever build 100 data centers in this county.
Did you say 4?
4 buildings.
Yeah.
Right, there's a limit to the amount of power that's available in an area.
That's the only benefits.
Well, the also factor would be water and land, yes. There's different layers of what helps constitute what we would consider a viable site. Power is one of the main factors, but water, land availability, development, risks, things like that are all associated and evaluated on the front end.
And it really is a supply and demand industry.
Correct.
It's not necessarily going to be established landowner, and not necessarily here, but as long as our economy requires it, and our lifestyle require that, they get built.
When do you think it's strange or scary how all these are all of a sudden popping up real fast and it's the first thing? Doesn't that raise any questions? Why?
Well, so I think so if you look at like American GDP, a lot of the GDP that's being produced in this country is because of the tech industry, right? So a lot of the innovation is better, of course. Like, I'm not asking judgment on it. I'm just saying these are the numbers, these are the facts. And so it is a supply demand story. So we want to support kind of American progress and and growth in the global industry, right? We don't want to lose the AI race or the technology race. Forget AI, AI is kind of a full up scary animal. Many, but from a technology perspective, competitive perspective, I don't want America involved behind so-called rivals in the global marketplaces. That's why having the 5 best companies on the planet, the 10 best companies on the planet, the US-based companies, that's why they want to come here. That's what's prompting all these what we want to do. We want to be responsible, right? I'm acutely aware there's a lot of people who are willing to come to order. And more meaningful to take the agriculture effort to build the sustainable facilities. It's more meaningful to have these conversations. We could forego the pavement and not have this conversation, but we're trying to come here and actually have that conversation. I think some of our peer group are willing to not do that. That's, I think, you build a long-term business by trying to do the right thing. We make mistakes. Like, trust me, we made a ton of mistakes. We talked about trees that we should not have down and other places. We made tons of mistakes. We're not pretending for a second that we're perfect, but we're certainly trying. We're trying to listen to say, like, hey, what are the questions that we're not perfect, or we don't know all the questions that people may have. So we're taking those questions. We never thought about the low frequency sound stuff because it hasn't been brought up recently. I don't know where it's come from, but it's come up. So that's something we have to study, and we're happy to do that. That's something that we have taught.
Have you ever heard of non-invasive neuromodulation?
No.
What was the term again?
Non-invasive neuromodulation.
Non-invasive neural modulation.
We've already talked about it.
Yeah.
I saw a video that I made a speech. I think I actually changed things. He starts talking about nervous area project. That project was putting all the trails out in the air, bringing vaccines, whatever. And what the project is to control influence mind. This is going to sound crazy, but they inject people with nanotechnology, right? So everybody's got these metals that you drop into the sky, and you put it in the water, it's advancing these all this material out. But this doctor that watched read about how DARPA is going to invade our cerebral space. They're going to do it not crudely, but creatively. They're going to get the metals into us and they're going to provide you. The end game was that they're going to control our cerebral sphere with the science sphere. They call it different interventions. So she said as well, if this is even a possibility that these people are trying to build this up to control the public, I mean, in real time, reading information into your mind and taking it out, complete violation of everything. How do we know it's not that bad? Because we really know what the AI is the question. If this doctor's correct, I mean, this is crazy. It's like DARPA taking completely out of control. You know what I'm saying? Does any of this make any sense?
I don't really care much about this.
I'm trying to see how it's relative to I see what you're saying. You're looking at a lot bigger picture.
Well, I'm trying to wrap my head around why do we so many data sets, so many with this type of energy.
Like I say, it's a good question for them. It's nothing that the county's going to know. We've always looked at it from the standpoint that there's a power plant out there. These data centers, they have to have power. And I know Leon County went through a lot of stuff, and they were trying to put a power plant in an area where they're just going to take power from the grid. There was no power plant close to that. I'd be against that. If they were going to use a billion gallons of groundwater a day or more, I would be against that. But I'm not for anything that we haven't already done before. Apparently, we made out okay. I was talking about construction water a while ago. What is the big deal? We use water roads to build roads, to build Walmarts and warehouses and grocery stores.
Well, I guess this whole water depends on whether that's like the radiating comes out. Is it hot water, is it drinking water, is it gray water, what is it now? I mean, you're not going to drink water, right?
Just go back to your earlier question, I think is interesting, which is why is there so much data center? Why are there so many data centers being built?
So quickly, with so much money, unlimited money, all rich people want to eat rich people in this world. They're all right. And I don't recognize it all for instance. I've been a mistake for letting this should have never been that. We should have never been able to provide those is what it is. I'm not here to think they would say you should. I just don't want to see, once one gets approved, that is another 6 grade. He's on line here, guys have a number in line, how many people are left here, or where's the line?
It goes back to the authority, so we don't, if the government wants to allow them to put one building every 10 acres, and they buy 500 acres, they can put 50 of them, and we can't stop it. We don't have that authority, that's what I know.
Yeah, we have one more year, that's the, right, you can't, there's no different way. Just
It's a private company practicing free enterprise.
If they're raping, should say raping, but if they're raping the land, if they are taking the water, and they are taking the energy, some of these walls that they do are 1,500 feet deep. And then going around there, it's got well, it's going around before they're stealing the water from everybody's property. If there's a well, or whatever.
They get those permits to do that, they have to go through the ground water. So we had, in that association, and meeting on December the 3rd or 17th, I don't know, which one, reinvestment. But, that was not even an option. So, they, that's when they told us that they would be getting their water, almost all from the water. So, we pre-treated when we got here, 4,000 gallons per system. That's what we had to go on.
Does anybody here scratch their head at all wondering why so much noise? Doesn't it what is going on? It's not, when you all of a sudden don't need this AI, what is actually going on? Then he made a comment on breaching privacy. It's kind of why I got up, because things are not going to work. This is a whole other level of breaching. And I didn't want to say anything about that, because it's not what I want to. I don't scare people. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it's like pure evil. It's like devil's knocking at the door, they're going to come in, they're going to take this land because the government wants it. The government's control your mind. They're going to come in, they're going to buy it, spend the money, do whatever they want. And then what? When the land's dried up, I mean, what about the people? Do you think these people truly care about the people of their field? Either way, they're going to do what they want. But the question is, if this is good versus evil, what are you going to stand somewhere? At what point do you say, wow, this is out of control? These are evil people that are funding this. You can mention without a doubt. There is a battle of evil and good going on right now. You have to choose a side. All that needs to happen for evil to win is for evil to do nothing. I don't want to take a minute more time. I appreciate that you gave us an opportunity to talk. I don't personally hold any account, but it's business. We have to, there's other things to do. I can blame the state. I think the government should be held completely accountable for every one of these things shown in Texas. I love this town. Every night I walk my dog around this circle. I look at it. I go back behind this. I never let it be on. Out of all, my favorite part of the way is the letter from the elm. I stand there and it just keeps me right in my heart. People that died and knew they were going to die, and they stayed in this. If they were to see a situation of all these big, rich, powerful people, not necessarily God people, rich and powerful, come and buy this land, just break it, take what they want, kill the animals, just destroy it. How would they feel? Look at it. I mean, really, this Texas is a great state. I never expected to see all these rich people buy their way in here, just have their way. It's offensive. It really is. I didn't expect that. I walk my dog around here, location you can find your one. I pick it up every time. And every time I walk around, I'll pick it up in the yard. You think better than mine. That's my nature. You guys should probably try to do the same thing. If you can stop this, stop it. Don't use this as a way to just find money. Money is the root of all evil. It's not just the root, it's the whole tree. This country is an infection. This country has serious problems. There's a lot of evil people going on. That being said, there's a lot of good people too. You gotta choose.
I see it for sir. I mean, and again, I wouldn't want to mislead anybody to think that there's a monetary gain for the county to be considered. Again, we're not. That still doesn't give us more power. You know?
And any monetary gain doesn't justify the sacrifice, in my eyes. Texas is sacred ground. Texas has the best people in the nation. That's
but
what
Texas also has
That's true.
rights. That's where we're at. Until you change that, and you're talking about people on both sides of the fence, you know, Texas is property rights state. And when a private company buys property, as long as they're not in violation of state or federal law, they can do what they want to. And your local commissioner board is going to sit back and watch just like you. We get the sound, we can call our representative, we can, Greg Abbott's, the lady with economic development out of the government, she was up here in the courthouse last week. It's been about 30 minutes and I was talking, and I shared the concerns of what was popping up on social media because of that guy, that it seemed like he's the one that invited all this in. The biggest thing for us as commissioners is that when your county does start receiving funds for these, the state of Texas is going to treat it just like they did the schools. And they're going to say, you know what, I think we can budget better for that county than they can themselves. We'll just take all their money and then we'll send them back where they need. If they ever start Robin Hood county tax money like they did our school money, then it'd be horrible. And so that was my message to her, just send back to Governor Abbott, is that we're watching and you know that's the last thing that we want to see happen. And that there is not enough testing for, like we were talking about the railroad cables. But right now, these local water companies that have to take samples every week, send them away over to DCQ, they're not testing for the PFAS. So it's something that does need to be tested for. There are people that are asking the Environmental Protection Agency to start implementing that for all the states. But where that's at right now, I don't know. I'm saying, I'm assuming that there's a lot going to get done in this legislative session. But what you can get done between now and then is just try to go to forward and get your message across.
Especially with the rule on the freight train, which is the big train, which is established regional. Little league guys about the people that sold the properties. I kind of blame them. They say, well, you want to take the money, this and that. You're selling property, and you know what they're going to do with it. I mean, they really love the property. No amount of money is going to money's evil. I know 4 people that are millionaires, 3 who are millionaires. And 3 are working miserable. I'm not happy people. The other guy who only has any money is actually happy. What does he have? It's incredible. Money's not happiness. It is truly evil. They look down on good, God we trust. Here I'm talking about Jesus Christ. These people have whole other agenda. This is good versus bad. I'm here to tell you. It's as real as it can. I came down to Cook County, which is the most corrupt county in the whole country. Chicago is the number one. And I'm here to get away from all the 5G. That's my heart. It's a double thing. And down here, God let me hear it. There's no doubt. And here's what he does. Well, I was 16 hours after across the border. It's just incredible out there. I came down here, my heart's fine. 5G. All of a sudden, I was back out of there. Look at this thing. Oh, God. You go again. These are truly people that are deciding this to be not having the text. This is not going to be anybody any smarter. Artificial intelligence. Real intelligence comes from basic maps, solving problems. Go to intelligence, take it with them. Other people come across the obstacle, go around it, they self-destruct. These are the people that are paying for this. The ones that can't think for themselves. They need the AI. I said it off, I'm sorry. But I do appreciate what you're doing. I do not blame you at all. This is not just Texas. This is on a national scale. there's truly deep rooted evil problem with our country. And, we need to see it right. Some of these happens, all these happen from even with, I was thinking the same thing today. There's a lot of stuff I have to say is, it's out there. But this is, I'm a science guy. I've learned this over the years. I don't prove it. I don't carry it forward. I don't like it. I don't want it. I'd be happy if we put landmines in here. We got new all cell phones. These cell phone towers they talk about, every military branch considers them air tube weapons. Now think about that. Remember I was here last week talking a little bit about the radiation energy and stuff. Regardless. When I was 12, they went from 1G. It's going to get, here's what they say, it's going to get faster. From 1 to 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. It never got faster. I can tell you this. In 2002, I walked out of my door one day, thousands of dead birds, all spread in Starbucks. Big bird in my town. Dead everywhere, just like that. The governor says, oh, well, it's birds. Okay. So the COVID comes along, I do a little research. He sends me to this newspaper article in New York saying how the government is helping this farmer and he's supposed to take his boys and kill them and take responsibility. They don't take responsibility. Those words die the day you jump up in the future.
Thank you, appreciate you, sir. Anybody else?
Judge Lane, can I have the floor?
Yes, sir.
My name's Jerry Don McLeod. I've lived here my entire life. I'm 62 years old. I went to college at Sam Houston, graduated down there and come home. Everything that's being said here, we've already dealt with. But when you vote your elected officials in, there's 5 guys right here that they have done their due diligence. If I build buildings for a living, if I want to know what beam will hold a building, I don't just dream that up. I go to an engineer. I talk to the smart people. That's what you're supposed to do. That's the way I was taught. Fairfield High School. That's where I got my start. Everything that we've talked about now for 2 weeks has just been negative, 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 negative. Well, these guys have done their due diligence, or they wouldn't have brought this to us to vote on, for them to vote on. They've allowed us this time that we can come up here and we can talk. Well, we're not getting anywhere like this. All we're doing is just creating a bunch of enemies. These people's coming whether we want them or not. It's these guys' job now to see how we're going to tax them. So for us to get along with these people, what are we going to get from them? That's basically what we're here for. And so we've got to depend on our elected officials to lead us. If we don't, what we elected for? If you want their job, run against them. And then you sit there, and then when one of these things come at you, then you're going to find out what a hot seat they're in. I've known all of them guys my whole life. And I can promise you, they're not for using water that's not necessary. They're not for bad environmental stuff. They're not for any of that stuff that we've talked about. I have a farm and a ranch. I have irrigation water. I'm the president of Pleasant Grove Water. So water is a big deal to me. I've been watching water for a long, long time. And the conservation of water is not just happening. It's not just happening, okay? This thing is nothing but a supply and demand. If you want the data center to roll their stuff up and leave, turn that phone off, because you're the problem. If you keep using that phone and keep using that computer, well, you're creating the demand, and they've got the supply. That's the bottom line. If we don't, you're shaking your head, but that's the problem.
We already have data centers for
That's not
that.
right.
You already have data centers for that.
That's right.
It's headed
And
toward a
we keep
cashless
asking
system.
for more and more.
There's a lot more
faster
things going on
computers,
behind the scenes.
And everything, we want more and more and more. don't like it, we can quit using it. And it'll go away. But here's what I would say in this whole deal. I'm a Christian man. If you want to know what you need to vote, or know what you need to do in the county, and support these guys or not support these guys, I think we ought to all get on our knees and figure out really where we're at on this deal. If you're not a Christian, I'm sorry. You need to be. But if you don't support these guys, then run against them. But they've got a really big step to make. And it's all about how they're going to tax this thing and what we can get from it. And the whole thing is, it doesn't really have anything to do with are we going to get it or not. It's a reinvestment zone. That's what you're voting on. Doesn't have anything to do with if we're going to stop them from doing it, because they're going to do it. Okay? Thanks for listening.
And I just want to say that some of us, I support you. I'm in full support of all of you.